Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. Welcome to the Think Big podcast, episode 82. Oh my God, 82 episode of consistency. And today you have myself, Alejandro Alvarez, and the most handsome man, which oddly enough, he has his camera off, Sam Singh. Mr. Sam Singh, how are you today, sir?
I'm working on the camera, damn it. It's not working. But I'm glad to be here. I'm going to be on it in a second, guys. I'm like literally in the settings trying to play with this and figure it out. Give me 1 sec. But Alejandro, while I'm figuring this out, what do we got going on today, man? What are we doing?
Man, today we're going to do some Q&A, which we really don't do much, and we started doing a little bit more often this quarter. There's a lot of people have tons of great questions, so I'm really excited about that, especially when it comes to business topics, because Sam, you go crazy with these business talk. But that's pretty much what we're going to be going over. And Holy Grail of Growth, which shout out to Sam for the amazing topic for today. I'm sure you have something in mind today, but man, congratulations to me. While Sam gets his camera situated, I'm just going to go ahead and not be humble and say I've completed 100 miles in less than 3 weeks.
Let's go.
Yes,
100 miles running?
Yes, sir. Running, a high-speed walk, jogging, all mixed in together.
Huge. Freaking huge. How was that? What did you learn from doing that?
What I've learned is that there's so much more to you, to yourself, and what you currently are. Like, if you feel like you're amazing at what you do, just know that there's still a future you that's way better than you are. And it's just fun to chase that person. Now, obviously, there's pros and cons to everything, right? Sometimes you're going to feel like you're never satisfied with the amazing things you do, which is really difficult for a lot of people. But for me, I can just look back and like, yo, dude, I've never ran 100 miles. In fact, I hate running. And the fact that one of our best friends, Sam, Mr. Marlon Johnson, ran across the country, that was just very inspiring. And he did it for a good cause and did 100 miles of like, you know what? I just want to run with you, man. You're my best friend, and I see you're inspiring other people throughout the country. I just want to be able to run and just be proud of the moment with you, if that makes sense. But that was great. My knees are definitely hurting every single day now. Guess your age gets to you, but I'll get that check, see what happens. But I had to buy a knee brace. I refused to buy the knee brace, but for the last 20 miles, I just went ahead and got on Amazon, bought the knee brace, and it had definitely helped out to get to the finish line. But that was really great, man. I feel really good about it. I'm looking forward to the next challenge. And yeah, I think I'm going to push. I wanted to do 100 miles, Sam, by 2 weeks. I know you weren't there for that episode, but I wanted to do it within 2 weeks. And unfortunately, I didn't get to 2 weeks. And when I got there, I wasn't upset that I didn't get there in 2 weeks. Because after the first week, I didn't realize, holy crap, this is actually not going to be that easy. You got business fires going on, you have your life going on, you have, family stuff. And on top of that, you're trying to get 10 miles per day. It's pretty complex to complete that consistently every day, unless I just sleep less, which again, if I sleep less, I have less energy throughout the day, which can reflect on how my business operates. So for me, I got it done in 2 weeks and a half. I didn't go the whole 3 weeks, but still got it done. In fact, I went over 100 miles. I didn't realize because I stopped tracking. Because you ever heard of Strava, Sam? Strava, the little app you track. Yes, I was using it. It's so complicated, dude, to like track how many miles you did in every week. It's like it's glitch or something. You click the whole year or the month, and it just shows you what you did the week before. I'm like, dude, all right, whatever. As long as I do no less than 5-7 miles per day, I know I'm gonna get there anyway. So I just stopped tracking, and at some point I was gonna walk to the coffee shop and I say, "Hey Siri, how many miles have I ran this past month?" She said 108. I'm like, "Oh, I already did it." And then I did the math, sat down. I'm like, "Oh yeah, I did one over 100." So that's what happened.
I dig it. The fact is, you told yourself you were going to do something, and even though things didn't go perfectly, you still did the thing. And that's literally all that matters. And it's one of so everyone here knows that like I'm a huge tennis guy. Like tennis is one of my greatest greatest passions.
Really? Tennis?
Mhm, mhm.
I didn't know that.
You knew that. You just don't pay attention to me. Um, um, here's the thing. There's a book that was written by a tennis legend. In the book, it's called Winning Ugly. And the
Mm.
whole point of it is no matter what, just win. No matter how bad it looks, no matter how much you have to grit down and grind away, and if the tennis gets ugly, if your form breaks down, if you have to like not be the most beautiful, elegant player on earth, no matter what, just win, even if it means winning ugly. On days you feel like shit, it's okay, win. On days you feel great, it's okay, win. But no matter what, be comfortable winning. And that's a huge thing for a lot of people, especially a lot of tennis players, is they want to win, but they want to win in style. They want to win, but they, unless it's perfect and beautiful and, like something like Roger Federer did it, they just don't want the win. It needs to be perfect, right? And it's funny, when you get to like the collegiate Division 1 level of tennis, you really start understanding that winning pretty is not a thing. It's rare. In fact, the game is excruciatingly physical. The game is just difficult as hell, and the key is to win ugly. The key is literally just to outlast the other guy, no matter how ugly it gets. And so I love that, dude. You set the goal, right? The knee hurts, your body wears down. You tried the app. The app was too convoluted, whatever, right? It doesn't matter. You know what still got done? You won the 100 freaking miles. That's all. That's literally all that matters is you won the 100 miles. So I love it, dude. I freaking love it. But let's get into this, guys. So today we're going to do 2 parts, Q&A, and then we are also going to go into what I firmly believe is the holy grail of growth. And it is something that I've never seen anyone fundamentally talk about. And it's not, I think legitimately, I think outside of like maybe like an Alex Hermosi type, it's I've never seen an influencer articulate this principle. And I think this principle, if everyone just turns their brains off to everything else and only focuses on this one thing, your businesses can double, triple, quadruple. Alejandro, over the last 4 months, I did no traveling. I did no speaking, right? I just stayed at home, got on 0 stages, and I just focused on this one principle. It was funny. And in that time, we literally doubled our business's revenue, legitimately doubled it in that 4-month time horizon. And the fun fact is there was no magic to it outside of this one key principle. We're going to talk about that later today. But what I want to do is I want to get into some Q&A. I've got phenomenal questions that people have been DMing me on Instagram and on Facebook. So I want to address a few of those. Just have an open discussion about that, right? Some are personal, like about personal life. Some of them are about business life. Alejandro, I'd love to get your perspective on these 2 things. Also, if you're in the chat, drop questions. Like seriously, tell us what is the biggest pain point in your business right now. What questions do you have? How can we help you? Because I don't do Q&A. Like if you DM me questions, like you're gonna get a response maybe 2 weeks later. It's just the way it is with me because I'm a horrible responder. So like use this time, please. Absolutely use this time. We're completely open books here on any topic you want. But Alejandro, this is a question that I keep getting over and over and over and over again. And it's funny because I don't know that this question should be coming to me and probably shouldn't even be coming to you because neither of us are married. Neither of us are married. Neither of us have kids. You might have a kid that you don't know of. I don't know. But like the reality is I keep getting this question all the damn time. And the question usually comes from my male audience. And the question is always something to the effect of, hey, Sam, I can't get my wife on board. My wife doesn't support this, right? And they're in the grind phase. Okay. What's your answer to that? Can people get their wives on board? How do they do it? Is it a thing? Is it possible? Like, what do you think in response to that, Alejandro? Muted.
Damn, dude, I did the dope laugh and it didn't even. Oh man. Okay. I think this is going to depend on everyone, man. We live in a world, dude, where there's so many different perspectives. People have different life experience, but I'm going to say just based off now, just where I'm at. your wife shouldn't be on board. You should be on board with you. That's it. If you're and honestly, if your wife answers that way, I don't know this. I don't know the context of it, but let's just say, hey, you shouldn't do it. Then she probably saw some type of tracks that just shows that you're not disciplined enough. She doesn't believe that you're gonna achieve what you say you're going to pursue because of the actions in the past. Because women are very interesting. They're very interested in how they absorb their men. They don't say anything. They'll just keep it in their back pockets because once that one argument comes out, sure enough, all those can of worms are going to open up. Hey, but remember when you said you're going to take me to the movies and you didn't, and instead you went out with your guys? Yeah, and that was like 3 years ago. So if the fact that you're trying to get your wife on board, it shouldn't be that way, guys. Honestly, I do believe in being unified as a team together, but at some point you are yourself. You're only human, right? You have to pursue whatever you believe in, and if it doesn't affect your wife in a negative way, then do it. Or you can just sit down and tell them, hey, you're not on board, but this is my plan. This is what I'm going to do. I am in a relationship. I am not married. Perhaps I will be married soon. Who knows? But the way I approach my relationship is like, hey, I am I am proud of what I do. My goal is to help those in needs because I was in that boat before and there was no help in hand. And I do see myself as an angel from God to come here and help other people in need, which means I'm going to work a lot. And a lot of people will disagree with this because they live your life. I understand that. And I do live my life to a certain extent. But I also believe in there's tomorrow's never promised. So I will do whatever it takes for me to do the best and get closer to achieving my goals that day. And if that takes 10 hours, 15 hours, whatever it takes, so be it. And I've told my partner now that, hey, if anyone ever gets in my way, tell me to slow down or you're bringing negative energy into my world, you will immediately get removed from my life. And I meant that. It was very serious. And she honored that. She understood, she respected that. And ever since then, it's never been a problem for me to pursue my dreams, my goals. And if I have to stay here a little bit longer, doesn't matter. I don't get any complaint. Hey, you're staying at the office for, I don't get any of that because that would be negative energy, which I don't need. So that's my take on it. If your wife is just not on board, then so be it. Don't be on board. Just watch her do you and bring the fruits to the basket and see what happens next. Could be a horrible relationship advice, but don't that's just me as a business person just thinking out loud.
My camera just went out again. I have no idea why. So, okay, let's keep
Babe,
doing this. I'm
now,
gonna
now
figure this out. I'm gonna
people will
figure this
focus
out
on
on the
me
back
today.
end. I'm gonna figure this out on the back end, but I like this question, and I like this line of questioning, right? So, guys, I firmly I think it's reasonable for wives to look at their husbands and say, "Hey, we are both working full time, or maybe you're working full time. I'm taking care of the kids, whatever it is." Right? The reality is, we're not financially free. We don't have an abundance of capital coming in, and usually, whenever the visionary between the two, whether it's the wife or the husband, either or, usually most times it's going to be the guy. One of them will say, "Hey, I want to get into entrepreneurship. I want to do this damn thing," and the reality ends up being that, it's going to take a financial strain on the household, right? If you're working full time and maybe you need to chop off your hours a little bit to then go and play entrepreneur for, in your off time, you're hurting the household's income. So, Alejandro, do you think that from, like, the other person's perspective, let's just say the wife's perspective, who is a
Yeah.
little bit hesitant, do you think that it's a warranted perspective? Do you think that it's fair for them to have that hesitancy?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Of course. 1000%. I think I think I think
Mhm.
it's fair for them to be concerned or hesitant because a lot of the time, Sam, I mean, dude, how many people in your family, Sam, do you believe will understand the way you think when it comes to business? Very
Oh,
many.
Oh, rare, bro. Absolutely rare.
Very, very minimal. So for them to feel hesitant or be concerned, it's natural. Remember, the human's default emotion is always going to be fear. We're always going to look for the negatives in some things, but without fear, you can't grow. Without attacking those fears. So,
Okay, so and guys, I promise I'm trying to fix this on the back end. So okay, now let me put it to you this way. At some point, I think that if someone wants to get into entrepreneurship, and as Ed Milet calls it, being the one that changes, the family's trajectory for as long as possible, I think what needs to happen is someone needs to take the risk, right? Now, we always say, I think you and I agree on this, that I'm a firm believer, and I'll kind of give my little 2 cents on this. I'm a firm believer that if your wife doesn't trust you, right, or if your wife isn't on board, it's because you've given her no evidence to trust you based on. It's not that she doesn't love you. It's not that she doesn't think that you can't do it in a perfect world. It's just that you're asking her to take a leap of faith without any evidence. And that's a difficult thing to do for anyone, especially when things like financial stability is on the line, right?
Oh yeah.
So my take is that it is completely fair for them to feel that way. Now, Alejandro, we talk about this. I think you and I both agree that, like, hey, visionary or the man or whoever it is, either or, you need to show up with a stack of proof to your partner, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
What does that stack of proof have to look like?
It'll have to be some type of consistency in their world currently. I don't know what that could be, but like prime example, this is just different. Myself, I bring my partner flowers every single month. This is something I've done since just growing up with my mom and watching what makes her happy. I've always done that. So there's always been some type of consistency there. Like, oh, this guy just never miss every month. If I say I'm going to do something, then we're going to do it. Unless I say, hey, I'm planning on doing this, but I'm not sure how my business is going to be at that time. So if it happens, it happens. And for that person, it could be something different. Like, hey, I'm going to take you out on this day. Good, take you out on this day. I'm going to bring you flowers. Consistency. I don't know. It could be something. Just show some type of consistency. We're like, wow, this is a different man. I don't know about you, Sam, but this is a little bit off topic. But have you ever dated a woman that told you, like, I've only gotten flowers on Valentine's Day?
Yeah, of course. I mean, I would say that's 99% of women out there, right?
That's crazy, dude. That's again. Remember how I live, bro. Like, okay, tomorrow's never promised, so I'm always going to show that flowers every day is it's stupid. So you do it every month just to bring that appreciation, and of course, to a woman, it's a big deal. It's a humongous big deal, at least to the woman I date.
I love it. I love it. So, I mean, really what's happening right now is Alejandro is basically just throwing every other man under the bus right now who isn't buying their women flowers every single month. That's really what's happening.
That's crazy. That at least buys you, for those out there, that at least buys you a late night per se. If you have those type of problems at home, where your wife gets mad at you if it's like overtime at the office, get her flowers. She'll leave you alone for a couple of days.
Love it. Love it. Okay. So that's a great one. I agree. I think at the end of the day, you have to show up with some form of consistency. And I think you worded it really well when you said that it has to be a result in their eyes, not in yours. Right.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the times as guys, we may be like, we tend to shoot really high and we think that, unless we make like $1 million, like it doesn't count. I think it does count. I think growth counts. I think momentum counts. I think consistency counts. But I think we need to also do a better job of understanding that incremental results for us look different than for them sometimes. And all that needs to happen is a high degree of communication between them. I think someone's at the door. Hi, Aces. Yeah, you keep rolling. Keep rolling.
Yeah. So yeah, guys. So for those who are watching this in the future, man, like, dude, buy your girl some flowers. Be consistent in the world that you both live in together, because it's going to be tough for her or him to understand your vision in the future if there's no type of consistency in the current world you both live in. That will be the easiest thing you can do, and it's mandatory, man. Jesus Christ, like, what are you guys doing?
Okay. I've got this question, and then this is an important one. I actually had this discussion with someone yesterday who is an extremely high level experienced investor. And I want to have this talk. Is it possible right now in today's market, right, guys? I guess I want you guys to make no bones about this. It is a difficult market to be doing direct seller marketing right now. Like, and depending on your specific market too, your individual markets. Like if you're in the middle of, you know, Ohio or Indiana or something, and you're like in a low value market, like it's still pretty easy to wholesale and get deals consistently and spend very few dollars on it. But the reality is, in most really good markets that are like really expensive to be in, there's a lot of market competition. It's a tough time to be a wholesaler. It is actually a tough time to be spending money on direct to seller marketing. Doesn't mean wholesale's like a bad time. It just means that, like, unless you're well capitalized and you have a phenomenal infrastructure, it's going to become really hard for you to grow and sustain growth. So what ended up happening is I was talking to this investor yesterday who's a phenomenal business owner, you know, knows way more than I do about real estate, just absolute beast of a human being in this industry. And this person is in an extremely difficult marketplace, right? They're an extremely high value marketplace that has very low distress, right? You got higher price points. You've got basically no distress because that entire area is doing well. It's massively appreciating, right? There's not like foreclosure rates are almost like non-existent in this place. So this leads me to this question, because I think everyone, and it's not a question, it's more of a topic that I want to give a hot take on. People are going to tell you that you can absolutely crush it with direct to seller marketing in every market, no matter what. And I'm here to argue that I don't know that that's always going to be possible in every market with every marketing channel all the time. And it's like, I think that if you go to specific markets that have high valuations, very low socioeconomic distress, you have little foreclosure, you've got very few divorces, you've got very few evictions, you've got all these things happening, it tends to be that most marketing channels won't work. And because it is high value, you'll have like big hedge funds playing. You'll have like, you know, so much buyer activity, right? But not enough distress on the back end. Because, like, let's be honest here, Alejandro, when we go off market direct to seller, we are actually looking for distress to solve, right? That's literally what we're doing, right? Our buyers don't eat and they don't get their deals unless we go solve distress-based problems on the front line, right? What happens when you're in a market that has socioeconomically no distress? You're in a city that property values are high, right? Everyone makes a ton of money, so foreclosures are non-existent, right? Let's just say, these guys, this is true. Like, people think that religion doesn't have something to say about markets. Absolutely does. There's markets where like everyone in that market, or 95% of the people in the market, are all within one type of religious affiliation, and they have these super strong cultural norms attached to it, and that affects, are they going to get divorced, right? Because divorces are a phenomenal list type, and how they handle these things. So I think if you asked me a year ago, I would tell you, like, yeah, you can go crush it in any market. You just need to be resourceful. I would say now there are definitely markets that are popping up that are becoming more and more evident that you will lose money no matter what you do trying to run a direct to seller operation.
Damn.
And I want to hear your take. What do you think about that?
I think it's definitely true, man. I mostly felt the freaking big slowdown, like right after, you know, the market skyrocketed, and right after when it went back down or back to normal, when interest rates started going back up high. Dude, we felt that. It was heavy. Like the whole, like how slow the process is, sellers not answering, answer ratios just going low, like things are just going low really hard. So I would definitely say I could see that, because we back then, Sam, you remember, it was just nationwide. But now we're sticking to the top markets that are bringing us the more amount of revenue, and we're just sticking to those markets, and that's been a life changer. We have more consistency in revenue because of that.
And I want people to understand, like, why, like, contextualize, right? To contextualize what's actually happening is really interesting, because as we know, like, text messaging is becoming, like, text messaging was probably pound for pound the most cost-effective way to generate leads, right? Overall, like, probably even better than cold calling, because cold calling, you have personnel and dialers and systems. Texting overall, I think, was the most cost-effective way to generate leads, and that being cracked down on as much as it is. A lot of people, due to fear, are leaving cold calling and texting. They're leaving outbound marketing completely. And where are they all inherently going to? The only thing that's left, which is what? Digital inbound, right? Or inbound in general. They're going to direct mail, and then they're going to digital inbound, which is Google, Facebook ads, TikTok ads, YouTube ads, Bing ads, and then they're using PPL agencies, right? So guys, I want people to understand this like fundamental basis when you start looking at marketing channels and variants in marketing channels. And that's that when outbound gets wiped, right? Not that it is wiped. I don't think it is. I think cold calling is going to be strong for a very long time. But the issue comes up when we have people mass exiting outbound, all going to digital. Like, Alejandro, do you think everyone can do digital inbound all at the same time and keep costs low?
No.
Why is that?
Well, because number one, the more people you have using the system, the more companies are going to start coming out, the more prices are going to get more aggressive. Ooh, wait a minute. We have X amount of people doing this. Now we have to increase the prices, which is good. The higher the prices are, the more it kicks out the beginners in wholesale real estate. So it's not for everyone for sure. At some point, it's probably going to come up to like the mail-in campaign, Sam, where it's just a very unique niche amount of wholesalers that use mail because it's very expensive but very lucrative as well.
Well, I mean, I would say this, that like, is it expensive? Yeah, absolutely it is. But the thing with direct mail is that compared to, digital inbound, I think it's actually probably a little bit more cost effective overall, because I think people are flocking to digital inbound more. I think people are
Mhm.
going to PPL agencies a lot more specifically.
Mhm.
And so what ends up happening there is like, guys, like if you guys didn't know, with digital inbound, Google, Facebook, all these things, everyone who's playing that game is competing for the same customer. Like there's no infinite amount of sellers out there. Like in any given marketplace, there is a market cap with how many people have distress at a given time, right? Fortune's in the follow-up. You can keep following up until someone experiences distress, but at any given time, there is an actual market cap at how much distress is actually out there. I think there's a ton. The problem is when everyone tries to target all that distress the exact same way, right? Like let's just say Google ads, for example. What is Google ads? When you're running Google ads, right, all you're doing is trying to rank as a result for someone searching something, right? And people in distress typically only have like a strong handful of things that they'll search for, like, how to sell my home, how do I get out of my mortgage, how do I do all these things, right? A bunch of how-to questions. And the problem is we now have a new service agency or a new wholesaler running ads every single day, all searching for the same things. And what ends up happening is Google and Facebook, like Google and Meta, when they're running your ads, they're literally having you bid against the next guy to see who can get the ranking, right? Like that's literally it. And what does that do when 100 people are searching for the same thing, or 1,000 wholesalers are searching for the same things? The expenses go up. And then now what's happening, the reason I'm even bringing this up is because I was talking to this business owner who is in a market where it's extremely expensive, costs a lot of money to market there. You have every hedge fund on earth, and now everyone's flocking to digital inbound, right? Digital inbound is going through the roof. To be competitive in that market, bro, they have to spend minimum 20 to 25 grand a month in PPC ad spend. And then you've got your payroll. And then you've got your dialers and your systems and everything else, right? And then it's absolutely insane to understand or to see what's happening in certain marketplaces. And like, so a lot of times people tell you, it's like, no, you can run every marketing channel in every market on earth, period. And it's just, no, you can't. And I was talking to this owner, I'm like, yeah, you can keep running this channel, dropping 20 grand a month, 25 grand a month, 30. If you want real results and you want to get deals consistently, you probably got to jump it up to 30 grand a month, right? Between 25 to 30K a month. What ends up happening is this: wholesaling, you're probably not going to make enough on the assignment fees to stay profitable. You're going to have to then start entertaining much more risky exit strategies like fix and flip, right? Which have a longer cycle for you to make money, because a wholesale can be done in 45 days, right? Of getting the contract. But a fix and flip, you get the contract signed, and you may have a 4 or 5, 6 month process, right? It's a longer time before you get that money back into the business. What ends up happening is like certain marketing channels, like people are getting priced out of their own markets, and you objectively cannot run certain marketing channels in certain markets and staying profitable while still wholesaling. You would have to get into riskier exit strategies. And right now, with everything in fluctuation with the economy, it's kind of dangerous to be entertaining riskier exit strategies. Like for me, I want nothing to do with flips. Absolutely nothing to do with flips. Just because a flip right now, depending on what type of flip, even if it's like a wholesale or it's, you know, 3 to 4 month expectation, that 3 to 4 month expectation can very quickly turn into a 6 or 7 month hold time. And then the problem, the danger is what, Alejandro? That we don't know what the economy is going to look like in 6, 7 months.
Right.
We don't know what buyer activity is going to really look like in 6, 7 months. And the big danger is that we have all these people on YouTube and social media, all these gurus and influencers basically saying that it's a beautiful time to be a flipper, saying that you should buy all these deals and like, you know, get into all these big rehabs. And then what ends up happening is they also don't know what's going to happen in 6, 7 months. They really don't. And so I'm kind of at an interesting point, man, where I'm just like, it is now more critical than ever to be virtual and not be married to any one marketplace.
Yeah.
Like absolutely. Okay. But let's do you want to hit on that anymore before we move on? Because I actually do want to get into
No, we're good.
Okay, amazing. Okay. So I'm formally publicly speaking again, right? Like I'm getting back on stages and all this kind of stuff this past weekend. If you guys follow me on Instagram, you saw this past weekend. I was in Phoenix to speak at Ryan Zoln's mastermind. Ryan Zoln's an amazing guy. Runs an amazing guy. He's an amazing guy. He's got an amazing community, right? And I was honored to speak on his stage, right? Like literally the day before, Brent Daniels spoke, Steve Trang spoke on that same stage, and like the next day, I was actually the final speaker of the event, which I was so thankful for. And I gave this presentation, which was the 7 critical lessons I've learned from running $1 million business. And I did a bonus lesson, right? I did an 8th lesson. And that 8th lesson is basically what I would consider to be the holy grail of growth, right? And this is something extremely tactical. So if you're note takers, I would actually recommend like writing this down or practicing this as I'm discussing this so you guys can start like literally applying it in your brain. And this is something, Alejandro, you and I have talked about offline, I think a few times, but I don't think it's anything that we've ever articulated to the public. And that's the concept of a leverage multiplier.
Okay.
And I think this is the one topic tactically, it's a principle. It's really not even a tactic. It's a principle that you actually use to dictate your time, your business, your attention, your work ethic, everything that you do. This actually is like a guiding light for you. And what a leverage multiplier, it's this, guys. As a business owner, you only have so much time and attention. You only do. And I promise you, you will not be doing consistently $1 million plus a year in revenue and let alone profit, right? If you have low leverage. Not in this industry. You maybe do that in some other industries where it's a little bit easier to make money, but real estate, it's an industry where I would say, I think we sometimes in real estate make it seem a little too easy to make money than it actually is. Like real estate's a hard industry to actually consistently make money in. And it's a game of leverage. And what I mean by this is everything you do, every task, every process, every activity in your business, all of these things have a ratio or a value of leverage to them. We just don't understand that. And we don't talk about it. And we don't address it. And we don't track it, right? What we do is we track in our industry how many calls were made, how many dials were made, how many offers were made, right? And that's good. We want to track these things. What we don't do, Alejandro, and I don't think, let me know if you've ever seen anyone do this. I've never seen anyone do this, where they don't track the amount of offers made. They track what goes into making an offer in terms of your resources and what comes out of it and what is that ratio. And that ratio, guys, is your leverage multiplier. And I want you guys to put it this way and think about it this way in your brain. If I go and pick up the phone and cold call, right? Alejandro, if I'm cold calling, what is the most I can honestly get reasonably as an output from that activity? What can I generate with that activity?
Leads.
That's it. And on per cold call, how many leads can I generate?
Depends how many hours, but 1 or 2 leads a day.
Okay, but let's just say this in one call, just one dial. In
Uh-huh.
the best case scenario, how many leads can I generate doing that?
1.
One. It's a
Yeah.
1-to-1, right? Guys, when you're following up with sellers, right? When you're following up with sellers and you're dialing, right now you're a lead manager. Take off your cold call hat, put on your lead manager hat. When you're doing that and you're following up with your special, or your seller, you're a follow-up specialist. You're communing with your seller who you haven't talked to in 2 months, whatever. The most you can get out of that lead management call, that follow-up call, in a perfect world, is getting them set up for a closing call. So 1-to-1. I know that this one dial can, in a best case scenario, equal this one opportunity. Now let's go one step further. Let's take off the lead management hat, put on the closer hat. Now you're in the process of making formal offers, right? Alejandro, when you're a closer and you're talking to one seller reasonably, what is the best thing that can happen? What can you get for that one call?
A contract.
A contract. So it's 1-to-1, right? You see how all of these things, even though we glorify being a closer in our industry, and it's good to be a closer because you can generate a lot of money, but
Mhm.
all of these things in terms of leverage are 1-to-1, right? Now, I want you guys to put it another way, and this is how you upgrade your leverage multiplier. Stop doing 1-to-1 shit. You need to audit every activity in your business, understand what inputs are required to get what output. You'll find that 90% of the things in your business are 1-to-1. But what you're going to find out very quickly is one of those things is a 1-to-3. One of those things is a 1-to-5. Alejandro, when you find that, when someone does an audit, right? Let's just say Karen or the CEO, whose name I still don't know yet, they go back into their business and then they look at their business. They do this audit. They see a bunch of activities that are 1-to-1. They see one that's a 1-to-3 and one that's a 1-to-5. What should they do next?
Understand what needs to be done to multiply those results.
Which results specifically? Which ones do we want to amplify?
The one that's bringing in the money. Whatever
That's it.
whatever activity is bringing in the money.
The one that's bringing the money, but also the one that has the highest leverage,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
The one that the activity where you put in 1 and you get 5 out is your highest leverage, right? So let me put that into perspective, guys. I was speaking at this event and there is a new system. I thought there's a new software system every 5 minutes, but this system, I liked what they were doing. They were automating offers, okay, like formal contracts, right? Like we know when you do direct to agent or you do on market, people do LOIs, which is a letter of intent. Alejandro, a letter of intent is not a formal offer. It is just a letter of intent. A formal offer, right, on paper is literally a contract being filled out, right, and being submitted to an on market opportunity. This company basically just built an automated system, right? Like I get how the system works in the back end. It's not that complicated. But what they've done is they basically take MLS data for on-market opportunities, right? With that county specific purchase contract, or you can upload your own, whatever template you want, and it can automate offers being sent out on paper. And you can just blast out contracts, right? Do I necessarily recommend that? I don't know. I think there's a lot of potential problems that can come out doing that. But what I like about what they did or what they're doing is they're helping business owners understand how to increase their leverage. Because at one given time, if you're doing direct to agent or on market, you can only fill out one contract at a time, right? Go into the listing page, right? You have the listing page open on Zillow, on Facebook, on the MLS, whatever. And then you have your contract open on another tab and you're flipping between the two to fill in all the information, get the seller's information, do all the things, make sure it's right. And most of us are not super fast at being able to fill out a contract, right? So what an activity that might take someone 10 to 20 minutes to do, they can automate at this, in a few clicks of the button, right? And send out the offers. and they can do it in mass. They can send out like literally like 20, 30, 40 offers in like a minute, right? Now, all of a sudden, that same 20 minutes of time doesn't get you 1 or 2 offers sent. It gets you 40. Right now, your leverage ratio, your leverage multiplier isn't 1 to 2, it's 1 to 20, right? And what I think is that business owners aren't tactical enough to understand that or like really focus on that. So, Alejandro, give me an instance in your business where you've upgraded your leverage multiplier, because I know you have.
I would say for me, it's going to be the lead managers. I've multiplied ways on how to have more opportunities sent to my closer. Because at some point, our closers, and I think maybe they are, we are at 1 to 6. No, 6 to 1. Sorry, we're at 6 to 1, which means it takes about 6 offers to get a contract, which is insane numbers. So for us, it was like, okay, cool. So for us to get 4 contract a week each closers, which I only have 2, I have a very lean system. Then we need to understand what needs to be. How can we get more of those opportunities in front of those closers? So I put more time in the lead managers, and that has increased a lot as far as for productivity for our closers.
I love it. I love it. So, guys, I want you guys to focus on this, right? And it's that you will never upgrade, or you will, but not by much. A lot of times people want to grow their business, and this is why I'm such a huge advocate of top-down hiring, right? Guys, we always talk about this. I talk about this. Alejandro's a fan of this. 99% of people like literally have been taught to do bottom-up hiring. The reason why I'm such an advocate of top-down hiring is because with bottom-up hiring, you have to be a cold caller where your leverage is 1-to-1. Do that for 3 months, right? Now you're a lead manager where your leverage is what? 1-to-1. Now you're a closer after 3 more months. Your leverage is what? 1-to-1, right? All of these things, you're still doing 1-to-1 shit. Versus if you have a top-down approach and you hire a CEO, a COO, a sales director, or a dispo director or something, some form of executive or higher level director, right? That person now can then go backfill all the positions for you, right? They're hiring the cold callers, they're hiring the lead managers, they're hiring the closers, they're hiring the dispo managers, they're hiring the TCs, all of it, right? And now you have one person. You spend your time and your energy training one person, your sales director, your COO, whatever you want to call them, your ops guy, whoever it is. You spend your time not pouring into a cold caller, then a lead manager, then a closer, then a dispo, then 7 different roles. You spend all of your time pouring into one input, and that person goes and fills in the rest of the business for you with your guidance, and they will get 75 on the output. And like, this is the way that people need to think. And it's interesting because no one talks about it this way. Not a freaking soul. I literally was on stage or prepping to get on stage. I was watching a podcast, and it was by an influencer in this space. And this influencer kept telling everyone, you need to go do all the things yourself. You need to go do all the things yourself before you like think about hiring anyone. And I was shocked because I was like, you're literally telling people how to waste their life away. If they just understood how to upgrade their leverage, you could drastically grow your business seemingly overnight. And it's just, I don't think there's enough people in the industry talking about it. Oh, hey, Brandy, good to see you. It's been a minute since we've seen Brandy. Thank you, Rob. Yeah, I'm still getting off this, man. Okay. And I want people to understand this, guys. So during the 4-month travel hiatus, where I doubled one of my business's revenue, that entire travel hiatus had one goal, not to focus on all my businesses, but to focus on one of them, right? Really, truly one of them. In that one business, we doubled its revenue seemingly overnight, but it took about 4 months to do it. In that 4 months, we doubled our revenue. Officially, that business is now a 7-figure year business, which is amazing. Here's the key to that. None of the things that I did, Alejandro, were 1-to-1. In fact, I probably left, there's still so much work to do, right? A lot of those 1-to-1 activities still need to get done. Right now, there's just no one doing them, right? I just understand that if I spend most of my time doing the 1 to 20 activities, there would be a much bigger shift in the business. Now, at some point, do we have to go back and handle all the 1 to 1 activities? Absolutely. Someone has to do this. Someone has to set up the dialer. Someone has to go and set up the automation. Someone has to go and do all these things, right? But if I, as the business owner, am going to come back in and spend my time and attention and energy into this thing, I am not allowed to do those one-to-ones because it'll take me 5 years to replicate the success I did in 4 months. And I want everyone to start religiously approaching this. And this is the key that I think that no one talks about. I don't think anyone, Alejandro, in this business realizes that the guys who are way ahead of us, the guys who are doing 7 figures a month, multiple 7 figures a month, 10, 15, 20 million a month, I don't think people understand that those guys at the highest level, guys and gals at the highest levels, they all religiously audit their leverage. And like, I want people to understand this, like everyone in the chat, like I want you guys to think about this. When was the last time you sat down in front of your big ass whiteboard and you mapped out everything that you do on a day-to-day basis and actually assigned a leverage multiplier or some form of numeric indicator, like data point of this is what this will actually allow me to do? And I can guarantee no one's done it. I can guarantee no one's done it. And this is the reality of this game, dude, is people need to start doing this religiously. And so I want everyone here this week, get in front of your whiteboard, get a pen and paper out, and I want you to literally map out every single task activity that there is possible in your business. And I want you to, don't lie to yourself about this because you think it's more important than it is. Be brutally honest with the leverage multiplier. Is this a 1-to-1, a 1-to-2, a 1-to-4, a 1-to-1, whatever it is? Just be honest with what it is. And then here's the key. Whatever you do, do not do the lowest ones. Only focus on the highest ones. And you're going to say, well, Sam, someone has to do these things. Like if it doesn't get done, like it's not going to work. I promise you it will work. You're just going to spend, are there going to be holes in the business that you will eventually need to go back and plug up? Absolutely. But here's the key. If you spend all of your time taking care of those little tiny holes, the 1-to-1 holes, right? How long is it going to take you to get your business off the ground and crushing so that you have enough money to go and like actually hire good talent? Versus if you just spend all of your time plugging up the biggest holes in your business so you don't have all these resources leaking out, you're taking care of your business, right? Only focus on the biggest holes at once. Do that for 3 months to 6 months. I think your business is actually, I know your business will grow so much more, so much quicker, and you will then have so many resources at your disposal where you can now go and hire as many people as you need. And here's the beauty of those 1-to-1s. Alejandro, do you need like A-level talent to do the 1-to-1 activities?
No.
No, you need like D-level talent is usually more than enough. And if you like have the time span and the attention to be able to handle it, honest to God, a lot of those 1-to-1 things, bro, a lot of people know that I'm working on this. I'm working on creating like legitimately the greatest disposition SOP like the world has ever seen. Like I have a very clear intention with doing this. You know what I'm finding out, bro? A lot of the 1-to-1 activities, they don't need to be handled by a human being. They can be handled by AI and systems automations. And like I had to, just so you guys know, this whiteboard looks super clean just because I was too lazy to move like from this spot to go live. I literally deleted everything on the whiteboard because like I was mapping out so much stuff. I'm realizing I could have just turned the whiteboard over because it's double-sided. I'm an idiot. But there was so much game on that whiteboard about AI automation and these new systems that we're tracking. Like we're testing out a new CRM, and this new CRM is going to be like, it's looking like it's going to be an absolute game changer in every single business that I own, right? But here's the key, guys. I wouldn't get to where I am right now, and I wouldn't have the ability to spend all of my time focusing on all those massive plays, right? Like systems, automations, I'll take everything to the 20th level if I didn't spend the last 4 months just working on upgrading my leverage at the highest level. So I don't know if any of that made sense. I hope it did. Alejandro, did that make sense? Or is that just like Sam going on one of his tears?
I would say for me, 50% of it sounds good coming from you just because you're Sam and you're handsome. And then the other 50% is like super gold nugget and the other 10% of that 50%, I'm already understanding how I'm going to implement it into my business. So
So
yeah,
here's
short
I
answer,
love
yes.
that. Thank you. So here's the key, guys. This week, list it all out. Do not lie to yourself about your leverage multipliers and what you think is important in your business, because I promise you, bro. Do you guys know? Oh my God. I've said this before, and I swear to God, no one understands the value of this when I say this. Alex and Layla Hermosi, right? Alex is 34 years old right now. He's doing about $17 million a month at 34. Dude's going to be a billionaire in the next 2 to 3 years, right?
Hell yeah.
Here's the key. You know, they invest in other people's businesses, right? They buy other people's businesses, or they invest into them. They partner with the founders, right? The operators, and they help them scale. Guys, what is the first thing that happens at acquisition.com in their portfolio business when a new business comes in? Alejandro, do you know what the first thing Alex and Layla do when they accept a new business in? Like the first task.
I got the tip of my tongue. I just can't remember.
It's this, guys. They sit down with the founders or the operators, the CEO, the owner, whoever it is, right? The first thing they do is they do a time audit on that person.
That's right. Yep.
It's like one of the first things they do. May not be the first, but it's like one of the first major things they do is they do a time audit of the operator, the CEO, the COO, the owner, the founder, whoever. They do an audit and literally will list out, here's all the things that you, aka the most important person in the damn business, spend all of your time doing. Here's a list of everything that you're doing. And what we're going to do is we're going to decide, right? And we're going to discern and assign a multiplier to all these things to find out which things you're doing that you should absolutely not be doing, and then fucking fire you from them. Like, that's it. That is literally it. We fire you from all the stuff that's low leverage. And Alejandro, let's just say, the founder gets fired from 80% of things that he was doing in his day-to-day schedule, he gets fired from. Do you think like what happens? Does he just sit on the 20% of things only and that's it?
No, he's going to find more productive things that's going to get him to higher revenue and focus on the 20% mostly.
That's it. They're going to isolate the things that are 1 to 20, 1 to 100 on a leverage multiplier. And then if he can do all those things and still have time open in his schedule or her schedule, what are they going to do? They're going to go find more 1 to 20 activities, more 1 to 100 activities, until you get to a point where those 1 to 100s, guys, those activities are literally 5 times more valuable than a 1 to 20.
What's crazy as well is, Sam, like for the company owner, when he's doing the highest productive things, it makes the one-to-one things a lot more annoying to do, which can also stress your company and stress that owner out. And eventually the owner will be the bottleneck of the company if they don't delegate that one-to-one stuff immediately as soon as possible.
Dude, that is so true. Like, people don't realize this. Alejandro, you've seen what I believe firmly, and I think Marlon feels similarly. I know Logan Manzanares feels similarly. I believe that there is one video of Alex Hormozi that is the greatest video on the internet. It's the one that about attention. I've sent it to you. You've watched it. And he talks about this, where literally the most valuable resource that you have as a business owner and entrepreneur is your attention. And if you are solving a lot of little problems, you lose your potency and your ability and your energy and your life force to solve the biggest problems the best possible way. And so it's like, no matter what you do, guys, like this week, I want everyone here this week to go back into your business, whatever model you're running, whether you're a closer, whether you're doing wholesale, whether you're doing lending, whether you're doing Gator, whatever the hell it is, right? Even if it's a coaching program, it doesn't matter. List out everything that needs to be done in your business, assign a leverage multiplier to all of them, only stick with the highest ones, fire yourself from the rest. And what you're going to find out is that if you just fill your table doing only the 1 to 20 activities and none of the 1 to 5, leave them all. It's okay. You may feel like, holy crap, someone needs to do all these things and like they need to be done, because if they don't get done, I'm going to freak the hell out and the business is going to fall apart. It's okay. Only do the 1 to 20s and like the world isn't going to end. In fact, your business is going to grow tremendously. And what's going to end up happening is, because it's growing tremendously, you're going to make a lot of money. You'll make a lot of money. Will there be holes in the business? Abso-freaking-lutely. And then you just hire people to handle the small things. And then now, guess what happens? Your business starts leveling up even more. And it's a game of incrementally doing this. And guys, you guys need to be doing this minimum, in my opinion, on a quarterly basis. Every 3 months, without fail, you need to be doing this. I would argue that the best on earth, the best business owners on earth, they probably do this, man, I would say minimum once a month. Minimum once a month. And the fact is, most people, most of us, because we were never taught this, we don't do this at all. Like, we go years without doing this. This is why we still have closers. I'm sorry, this is true. This may hurt someone, and that's okay. I say this out of love. We still have closers who've been in the industry 3 years. Guys, there's been closers. I'm not even 3 years in yet. There's people who've been in the industry for 7 years, and they still go live every day on YouTube calling sellers because they think closing is like the most important thing on earth. And it's why their income will always be capped, because they may have a 1 to 20 skill set, right? But they never got themselves to be able to understand there's 1 in 100 opportunities. And they've never removed themselves from the 1 to 20 seats. And so that's a huge thing, guys. I hope that lands. I hope you guys, as time goes on and I talk about it more, I try to find ways to articulate it better, because it is kind of a pie in the sky, tactical, kind of thing to talk about. I hope it lands, and I hope it resonates, and I hope it's something that you guys can take into your businesses. And just remember this: make an agreement with yourself to never lower your leverage. Never lower your leverage, no matter what. If you're at 1 in 5, right? The second that you decide you're doing 1 in 5s, you are never allowed to go down. You're not allowed to do a 1 in 3, a 1 in 4, a 1 in 4.95. You are only allowed to do 1 in 5s. And then you keep doing it. You keep doing it. You keep doing it. It's how you reach the top, in my opinion. Alejandro, we are up at time.
Yeah.
I hope. I don't know. Did you feel that was valuable at all, or should I never talk about leverage again?
No, that was very valuable. I think for some, and I'm saying this because I'm talking to my past self, be open-minded to things that are being said, even though they don't apply to your current situation, because there's going to be a time where you're growing and you won't have, you're going to feel very limited, like capped out. And this episode will have the answer for you. You know, I do believe focus at one thing at a time, but I also do believe that at least understand what that vision in the future is going to look like for you. So just be open-minded whenever you listen to this. Like, hey, man, I just want to learn how to get my first deal. Like, I understand that, but also understand how you're going to approach after you get your first deal. Like, what's your next step? Because that's a lot of time, that's where people fail. They get their first check and they disappear. They go back to Smoothie King or something. What up, Jay?
We don't have Smoothie King in California.
Get out of here. Are you serious?
Yeah, I don't think so.
You know what's crazy? My one of my friends in California, he told me this. There's a secret menu to In-N-Out. In fact, I don't even think I should say it here, but I'm sure you know it. You know about it.
I'm surprised that you didn't know about it. I thought everyone on Earth
know about that.
Yeah,
I'm like, what? There's a secret menu,
dude. In-N-Out has like 95 items on their menu. You just don't know it. Like, you think there's 10, there's 95 freaking items on their menu. But Jade, good to see you, dude. I'm actually going to be in Houston, Texas this weekend with Jade. Jade and I are going to spend like 3 or 4 days together. We're going to actually learn how to take lending to the highest level. And so, guys, like, I want you to understand this. Like, us going to Houston to learn how to crush lending at an even higher level. Why? Because lending is higher leverage than doing like 99% of other things in this industry, right? Yeah. This is continually upgrading leverage. I want you guys to understand this. I'm like, Jade and I are going to crush a lot of this together. This is on top of that, more leverage. Why? Because now it's not just me. I have a friend who's going to be doing it with me. I have a partner. I've got someone who's going to help me crush it, right? So no matter what, the input is no longer Sam doing it. It's Sam and Jade. Or if Jade's not available, it's Sam. If Sam's not available, it's Jade, right? The reality is we're always upping leverage in real time. Like, we only practice what we preach here. But Alejandro, I think we're good for today. Joel, I appreciate you. I'm seeing all of your questions. If you come back next week, we'll talk about whatever we're going to talk about, but I will spend minimum 15 to 30 minutes talking to you. We'll bring you up and I'll solve all of your problems with dispositions and or just getting into deal flow, because there's a lot to unpack. I know exactly what you're doing. There's a lot to unpack, and I will give you a blueprint. Come back next week, because we're over time now, and we'll handle it.
Make that next week's topic.
Yeah, dude. I literally have another thing. Let me know in the chat, guys, if you think this is valuable. There is someone who sent me a business blueprint or an org chart, and I told them. They said, "Hey, Sam, can I look over?" It's one of those episodes where you and we went over our business blueprint. I think it was the $1 million blueprint, which was episode 74, one of the best episodes we've ever done. Best episodes we've ever done. And they said, "Hey, Sam, here's my org chart. Here's my business blueprint. Can you go over it and give me feedback?" The answer was no. The answer was no. I don't have time to go over your business model. I do not. Right. And I said, what about, I'll do it if you come on YouTube with us live, and then Alejandro, myself, and Marlon, we can go over your blueprint live for everyone to see while you're here with us. And then he said yes. So over the next 2 weeks, I just got to schedule it with him. We are going to go live and break down someone else's business. And we're going to go into their business, right? Breaking down a business that's in motion right now. Probably, knowing me, I'm probably going to tell him to either fire himself or fire some people, right? Marlon says, it's a Samsung consultation when someone is fired. That's it's funny. So I think we'll do that. And then Joel, we'll get you taken care of as well. Alejandro, we are over time. They need to pay some dues, bro.
Let's do it. Let's do it, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you again for hanging out with us in the Think Big Podcast, episode 82. Again, if you gained value, we're not promoting, we're not giving you any ads or anything. We're not asking for your credit card or social security. However, if you did get any value from this episode, all we ask for in return is to share it with your friends. And something that a lot of viewers been doing, like Mac, very consistent. He takes his biggest takeaway and he screenshots and posts it on his Instagram story, tags us, put his most takeaways, and we truly do appreciate that, because it tells us, hey, you guys are doing a great job, and this is what I value most from what you said that day. So that helps us create more episodes and more episodes. I mean, it's 82 episodes consistent, and we would love to continue going over and over and over and over and over and over and over. So that's all we ask for. Other than that, I see you guys next Tuesday, 5 p.m. Arizona time. That's 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central time. What is that? What time is that? California time?
It's 5.
5 p.m. Yep. See you guys next time.